Imagine answering a ringing phone, hidden inside the walls of your decaying childhood home. The terrified woman on the line isn't calling from another city. She's calling from the exact same house, 20 years in the past. She proves it by altering your timeline, instantly transforming your dark present into a perfect, happy life. You think it is a miracle, but then she asks for a favor, and you realize the voice on the other end belongs to a cold-blooded serial killer, and you just handed her the power to completely erase your existence. Soyeon returns to her decaying rural childhood home. She is a woman entirely consumed by grief and resentment. Her father died in a house fire when she was a little girl. Her mother is dying of a brain tumor, but Soyeon has no sympathy. She blames her. She believes a moment of absolute carelessness destroyed her family, and she has carried that bitter hatred for 20 years. Alone in the dark, empty house, the absolute silence is broken by the ringing of an old cordless phone. When Soyeon answers, a terrified woman is on the line, screaming for help. But she isn't calling from another city. She is calling from that exact same house, 20 years in the past. They form a bizarre friendship, born entirely out of isolation. Young-suk's life in the past is a living nightmare. She is held prisoner by her stepmother, a fanatical shaman who beats her, starves her, and claims she is possessed by a violent, demonic spirit. And then, Young-suk realizes she has the power to change history. On the day of the fire in 1999, she sneaks out. She runs to Soyeon's house and turns off the stove. In 2019, Soyeon's timeline violently shifts. The dark, rotting house instantly blossoms into a bright, beautiful home. Her father is alive. The fire never happened. The resentment is completely gone. But that miracle is the exact moment she signs her own death warrant. Intoxicated by her beautiful new reality, Soyeon gets busy. She stops answering the phone. She completely abandons the woman who saved her. In 1999, Young-suk sits in the dark, covered in bruises. Her isolation turns into a toxic, boiling rage. Trying to make amends, Soyeon searches old news articles and discovers a horrifying truth. That very night, the shaman's stepmother is going to brutally end Young-suk's life. Desperate to save her friend, Soyeon warns her. When the stepmother attacks, Young-suk fights back. She permanently silences the older woman. But as Young-suk stands over the body, a terrifying realization sets in. The stepmother wasn't crazy. Young-suk wasn't possessed. She is simply a cold-blooded, psychopathic serial killer. And the shaman was the only thing keeping the monster locked in a cage. And Soyeon just handed her the keys. Without the stepmother to suppress her, Young-suk's darkest instincts take over. When a friendly local farmer discovers the body, Young-suk ruthlessly eliminates him. In 2019, Soyeon watches in horror as reality shifts again. The kind farmer simply vanishes from photographs. Then, Young-suk sets her sights on the ultimate prize. She lures the young Soyeon and her father to the house in 1999. With a single swing, she strikes Soyeon's father down. In 2019, Soyeon's perfect life shatters. Her father vanishes into thin air. The timeline collapses back into darkness. Young-suk now holds young Soyeon captive in the past. She forces the older Soyeon to look up police archives to find out exactly how she gets caught. The cordless phone becomes an instrument of absolute psychological torment. But Soyeon's mother arrives at the house in 1999 to save her daughter. In a terrifying, violent struggle, the mother sacrifices herself, plummeting off a second-story balcony with Young-suk. In 2019, the timeline shifts one last time. So-yeon rushes to her father's grave, and her mother is walking right beside her. They survived. The nightmare is finally over. But as they walk together, So-yeon's mother slowly begins to fade into thin air and completely vanishes. The final crushing twist is revealed. The older, future version of the serial killer had kept her own cordless phone. She used it to call her younger self in 1999, warning her about the balcony fall. Young-suk survived the drop. She eliminated the mother. And now, So-yeon is trapped in an abandoned house, screaming into the dark, completely at the mercy of a monster who controls time itself. The absolute genius of the call isn't the time travel. It is the terrifying exploration of codependency and suppressed trauma. So-yeon traded her grief for a perfectly constructed fantasy, but she was so desperate for a happy reality that she completely ignored the darkness of the person building it for her. And Young-suk represents the absolute worst kind of manipulator. She doesn't just want to destroy lives, she wants total, godlike control over someone else's reality. The cordless phone is a brilliant metaphor for unresolved trauma. You cannot simply erase the pain of your past without unleashing something far more destructive in your present. So-yeon tried to completely rewrite her history to avoid her grief, and in doing so, she became the architect of her own psychological hell. The film leaves us with a paralyzing realization. The monsters in our past cannot hurt us unless we are the ones who hand them the keys.